Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how PMDD is the enemy, not your partner. So I know this is one of the biggest questions that I get with my private clients, and it is this PMDD? Or is this an actual issue that I'm having with my PMDD partner? This is so widespread among individuals who have PMDD, even if they don't know. Like a lot of times I have talked to private clients where they're saying, even before I knew I had PMDD, I was really questioning, like, am I losing my mind? Is there really a reason why I have an issue with my PMDD partner every single month? And then all of a sudden I get into my follicular days, I get into my good days, I all of a sudden get my cycle. And then all of a sudden I have no issue with them. So I'm going to answer this question today because I know that it is one of the things that really it can get you, because it's really convincing that it's not PMDD. It is your partner. This is the person that is causing you a lot of the emotional distress. And you're almost discrediting the disorder itself. So that's the first thing I want you to realize, is that when you give the power to your partner to be the one that is causing you this emotional suffering and this discomfort, you're actually acting like PMDD is not a thing. So every other symptom that you have, you're kind of saying, oh, this is not because of PMDD. This is because of my partner. Oh, this is not because of PMDD. This is my partner. I have anxiety because of my partner. I have depression because of my partner. I have insomnia because of my partner. And you're really getting yourself in a mindset that you don't have an actual disorder. You're just thinking that it's the person themselves. And so when you get into these places of feeling like, oh, I need to break up, it's because you're literally thinking, if I just get rid of this one thing, then all of a sudden I'm not going to have all of these other symptoms. And that is the propensity of a lot of these. I am so triggered by a lot of these private groups that I've seen, and I've been on them, and I've tried to, give a lot of commentary, give a lot of advice, right? But it's almost like I'm in a sea of individuals that are convinced that they should break up. But I go in there sometime in these private Facebook groups and these Reddit groups, and I try to give like tools and knowledge of what you can do with your PMDD relationship. And I'm flooded with no. None of this is going to work because my partner is the enemy. And I'm like, like I'm always, because I've seen the transformations between my private clients. And I think earlier in my journey, if I was freshly new to having PMDD, this is what scares me so much, is that if I didn't know that there were tools or things that I could do about having PMDD, I would literally believe these individuals. I would literally believe that the best thing that I could do is to break up and live a life in solitude. And I've been there. I know I have literally been there. I spent 2 years after one of my breakups, and I just didn't date. I just stayed completely single. And I remember going through this period of time where I was like I would say a common nomad. I literally felt like oh my goodness, I found this golden nugget and I didn't want it to get taken from me. And what that golden nugget was, I could go into PMDD and still have peace. And I felt that, oh my goodness, this is the only way that I could do it because I had blocked out any interaction with having a relationship. And I thought that this has to be the thing. Like it has to be that PMDD was never really an issue. It's only, when I have a partner. But there's another side to that. And I feel like it's not talked about a lot because these individuals that are on these forums, that are on these groups that you're going to for support, they're telling you, yes, break up with your PMDD partner, then you're not going to have these symptoms. But they're not telling you everything that comes with that. They're not telling you that, if you have children, your children are going to be infected with disorder in the home. Maybe they're moving homes, maybe they're moving schools, maybe they're losing friends, maybe they don't, maybe, because I've seen a lot of times with private clients where you're not getting along with your partner, but your children really are. So now if you're thinking about, okay, we're going to break up, you're taking away that stability of that individual that's in their life, that's really helping them because you feel like you can't make it work. And so you're not really talking about the finances that are going to be impacted. And there's a whole, prior episode on breakups and like what that entails. But I feel like when people give the solution of breaking up, they're really not understanding all of the aftermath that is involved with breaking up with your PMDD partner. There's a lot of logistics that goes into what that looks like. And you're really in that place of you're emotional, you're single-minded, you're just looking for a solution to your suffering. You're looking for something that you can do to ease your suffering. You're not looking at all of the things that you're going to deal with after that. You're not looking at having that conversation with your children about why your partner's not there. You're not looking at what your finances are going to look like because you don't have that extra partnership. You're not looking at what your household is going to look like when you have to move your things. All you're looking at is, I'm suffering because I'm in this place of being with my PMDD partner and I want to get out of that. And so I know that a lot of PMDD partners, especially the ones that don't have PMDD, are very solution based. So it's kind of like, okay, this is not working. What can we do about this? And so we go from 0 to 100. We go from, oh, we have an issue because of PMDD, and okay, so the solution is breaking up. And so you're really not looking at the fact that what is the cause of this? What is the root cause of this? If you listen to the last episode, I talk a lot about the root cause of all of the suffering that you have in PMDD, and that can look different for everybody. But what is your root cause? What are you really, really arguing about? What is it? Intimacy? Is it finances? Is it co-parenting? These are the root issues that you have within your PMDD relationship. And all PMDD does, it exasperates issues that you already have. So a lot of times you're avoiding all of these issues, but PMDD doesn't allow you to do that. And you hate PMDD because of that. You hate the fact that your PMDD partner is not able to be in that space of ignoring issues that you have that are really uncomfortable, because you would rather, ignore them and be in that place of where it feels good. You want to be in that follicular phase all the days of the month. You don't want to deal with the actual issues that you have. And so you're in that place of saying, I would rather be in that place of pretending like we don't have legit issues within our PMDD relationship. And this is why I have the stress-free with PMDD partner package, where we meet every single week and we're dealing with actual issues that you're having within your PMDD relationship. Because guess what? Things come up in your PMDD relationship every single week on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. And if you think that you can continuously ignore them or distract yourself from them or avoid them, they're not going anywhere. They're going to follow you into every iteration that you have within your life until you actually deal with the root cause. So a lot of times you're saying, my partner's the issue, my partner's the issue. No, PMDD is the enemy, not your partner. And guess why? Because PMDD is that thing. It's almost like you're sitting in a bed and you're really, really cozy and you have the covers laying over you and you're really, really comfortable, and PMDD comes and then all of a sudden it rips the covers off. And then all of a sudden you're really cold, you're really uncomfortable, and you're sitting in those negative emotions. So I want you to begin to get angry at PMDD, not your partner. Get bitter and resentful at PMDD, not your partner, because this is the thing that is allowing your partner to not be able to withstand this avoidance. It's not, they're not in a place where they can avoid the issues that you have within your PMDD relationship because they're in PMDD, but you are literally punishing your partner because of PMDD. I want you two to come together and recognize, okay, when she's in her follicular phase, when she's in her good phase, when she's in her ovulation phase, we don't have these issues. But all of a sudden we get into PMDD and it's like we can't not address these issues. And so the practice that I have is not in a method. I'm never advising you to ignore the issues that you have, but I want you to recognize what is the root cause. And the root cause is when your PMDD partner is already suffering with PMDD symptoms when they're in their luteal phase, the ability to ignore and distract themselves from the issues that are going on in your relationship are very minimal. So maybe before you were triggering them, but because they were in their follicular days, because they were feeling good, then all of a sudden they didn't feel the need to say anything to you. So they're always in a place of saying, you know what, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And I could possibly, I know that this thing that my partner did triggered me, but I don't have to bring it up. I don't have to address it. I want you to get out of your mind that addressing the problems that you have with your PMDD partner is a bad thing. There's the thing that my business coach has, it's called sitting in the dirty diaper. A lot of times you're in that place of not wanting to sit in those negative emotions, and you're wanting to be like living la vida loca all the time. You're wanting it to be that we're only talking about positive things all the time because that's what feels good to you. But what I want you to know is that's not realistic when you're dealing with a relationship that has ebbs and flows. So as the individual that has PMDD, you have cycles. You go up, you go down, your moods go up, your emotions go down. And even the partner that doesn't have PMDD, there's a lot of issues that go on within the course of your life that is not even kill. It is not a situation where you can say, maybe I should be single. Maybe I should be with someone that is more stable. And it's like, what is the realistic of stable? It's the realistic of you're in an environment where you're only having one emotion all the time. Does that mean that anything that goes on in your life, you're not supposed to react to? Because if you're having a stressful day at work, if you're having a stressful day with taking care of the kids, are you supposed to say, oh, I'm not supposed to react to that because I only have one emotion. I'm supposed to be stable. Anything that happens with another human being that's being completely intimate with you, completely vulnerable with you, there's going to be ebbs and flows. And I want you to begin to have an allowance for the emotions that come with being in a relationship. I want you to have an allowance for may have good days and we have made bad days. But here's the thing, it's not always a matter of having a good day and a bad day. It's actually sometimes you have a good morning and a bad afternoon. What I want you to do, the first tool that I want to teach you is compartmentalizing your day. There is a possibility that you can have a bad morning and an amazing evening. You can have a horrible evening, but an amazing morning. What I want you to do is break your day up into quadrants. I want you to get to a point that if you have a bad moment with your PMDD partner, that you're not canceling out the whole day. I know so many times where you've had plans with your PMDD partner where you're saying, oh, we're going to go on date night, or oh, we're going to do this in the morning, or oh, we're going to do this, we're going to go to lunch. And then all of a sudden you have an argument in another quadrant of that day and you're canceling out the whole day. And I know what that feels like because you're thinking there's no way I can recover within a 24-hour period from some harmful thing that has happened within my day. But I want you to look at the time of the day that you have and say, okay, did we have a bad morning? A lot of times if you have a bad evening, then you're going to have a bad morning. Why? Because you've not resolved the issues from the prior evening. This is why a lot of times I tell my PMDD partners, we have a lot of sessions in the evening time. I don't want to have a session where you're distracted. I don't want to have a session where you're going to have a whole lot of stressful things that happen after that. I love to have sessions with my private clients in the evening times. And because I have sessions with over PMDD partners in over 54 countries, those evenings could be my mornings. But what I'm telling you is resolving the issues before the day is over is guaranteed that you're not going to carry those issues over into the next day. But if you're waiting day after day, week after week, month after month, you're going to have that compound trauma effect where before you know it, you're operating within a sense of you have all these issues and none of them have been addressed. And we don't live in the land of Peter Pan. We don't live in this land where we can continuously, ignore a lot of the issues that we have with our PMDD partner and think that they're never going to come up. They're consistently going to come up in different scenarios that you have within your life because you've not dealt with them. And I always say the hardest conversation that you can have with your PMDD partner is one where you're getting to the root of the problem, because you're digging and digging and digging beneath all of those facades that you put up that like everything's great, everything's fine. I remember earlier in my journey, I had a friend, and she's, and she's still a friend, but I had a friend where she had a lot of stuff going on, Ayana, and she was just pretty much like, every time I asked her how she was doing, she's like, everything's fine, everything's fine. And I really knew that everything wasn't fine, but that was her go-to. And I noticed a lot of that happens with my private clients, where I'll come on this session and I'll originally ask, and I'll do a check-in and say, hey, how are things going? And it's like, everything's fine. We get 15 minutes into the session and everything's not fine. And so I don't want you to feel the pressure of creating that persona where everything is fine when it's really not. All you're doing is delaying the inevitable. Pluck up the root, get rid of the problem, and then you won't have to deal with it again. So a lot of times when you're thinking that your partner is the enemy, your partner is not the enemy. The fact that you've not addressed the issues with your partner is the enemy. I'm going to repeat that. Your partner is not the enemy. The fact that you have not addressed the issues that you have with your PMDD partner is the enemy. For any of you that are in planting and gardening, if you think about, if you have, something that's growing and you have brown, roots, brown leaves that are growing out, and you're like, oh, I need to get rid of the leaves. So you pluck the leaves off of the vine, and what happens? Another bad leaf grows. If you want to get rid of the root of any problem that you have, you need to address it and pluck it up. And a lot of times, all you're doing every single month by ignoring the issues that you have is you're taking off the brown leaves. You're taking off the brown leaves. When what you really need to do is get rid of the vine. You need to go to the root, go in the dirt, and you pluck up the vine. So if you think about those gardeners, when they're getting to that point of plucking up the root, and they're getting to the root of anything to pluck it up so that it doesn't grow again, there's dirt there, there's soil there, there's manure there, there's things that have grown, and that's very reminiscent of the issues that you're having in your relationship. It's very ugly sometimes. It's very uncomfortable to have those conversations, but you're going to have to get into the dirt to pluck up the root of any issues that you're having with your PMDD partner. And so many times it's very appealing to just go surface level. I don't want to get into the dirt. I don't want to go deep into this conversation. This is not going to make me feel good. So what am I going to do? I'm going to pluck off the brown leaves. I'm going to pluck off the brown leaves. And guess what? Next month, you're going to be dealing with the same issue. And if you get to a point where your PMDD partner is not bringing up the issue anymore, they're being built up with bitterness and resentment. I don't want you to think because your PMDD partner stopped bringing up the issue that it's gone away. It hasn't gone away. There's just a level of bitterness and resentment and helplessness that is growing inside of them, where they're thinking, what's the point of even bringing it up? Why would I even bring it up? My PMDD partner's not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to be in this position where I'm talking in circles again and again and again. And that is where the PMDD monthly breakups come in, because now your PMDD partner is feeling like, I can't even be vulnerable. I can't even be open with my partner because they're not willing to address the issues when I bring them up. They're dismissing them because it's not comfortable to be in that place. But when you dig yourself in the dirt and you're getting to the root of those issues, it's a one and done. There have been so many private sessions that I've had where it's not been comfortable. There have been tears, there's been anger, there's been frustration. But after that session, they have not dealt with that issue again. They've not dealt with that issue again because they took the time to get into the dirt and pluck up that issue. But if they wanted to come on the sessions with me and just make it seem very surface level, we're doing great. Like, we're doing fine, and talk about all of the amazing things. And I always tell my private clients, I'm not working with you because things are going great. This is not a testimonial. Like, you're not coming here to tell me how great you are. I'm not Facebook. Facebook is where you go to talk about how amazing your relationship is. Counseling, therapy is where you go to talk about the ugly things that you're trying to pluck up and deal with, things differently. So I don't need you to come onto a session and tell me how amazing your relationship is. That's not going to help me help you. I want you to come in here and get in the dirt, but you have to be willing to understand, if you're dealing with this issue again and again, whether it's co-parenting, whether it's finances, whether it's intimacy, nothing is going to change. So here's the thing. It may be really comfortable. Say if you have an issue with intimacy, it may be really comfortable for you to come on here and say, oh, we're not being intimate, but I really would love for us to be intimate. But if we're not, it's totally fine. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, I could deal with that. Guess what? For the next week until our next session, you're not going to be intimate because you've not dealt with the issue. you've not plucked up the root. You've not addressed what's really going on. So yes, it can feel good for you to make it seem like everything's going totally fine, but you're literally investing your time and your money and all of these things. And even now you're listening to this podcast and you're not doing anything differently about it. So guess what? If you take everything that you learn on this podcast episode and you say, "Oh, that's great, Rose. That's great, Dr. Rose. That's amazing. I agree with you." And you do nothing differently in your PMDD relationship, nothing differently is going to happen. So then I would ask you, as much as I love having you here come every week, what are you doing? Why are you here? Are you here to just hear that there's a lot of complaints within the PMDD community about partners and relationships? Or are you here to do something differently about it so that you're not one of those people that are consistently suffering? I cannot tell you how many times I've had private clients where like, "Oh my goodness, thank goodness we found you." And they're willing to implement the tools. So that is one of the prerequisites of any of the private clients that I have. Not just that you listen to me, but you get to the root of your issues. And I know the first session with a lot of private clients is the hardest because they're thinking they're just gonna hear what they want to hear, and it's very surface level. I'm not here to make you feel good about the trauma that you have going on in your PMDD relationship. I'm not here to tell you it's okay, everything's going to be fine, let's not do anything differently, because if it gets a little bit uncomfortable, you're not going to want that. I am here so that there is a level of uncomfortability so that things change and things transform. And a lot of that is saying the hard things. A lot of times I have private sessions with one partner, not the other. So I have a private session with one, I have a private session with the other. And then the session that we have together, we're talking about those issues that neither one of you want to bring up. And for me, I understand. If you don't want to be the one that brings it up and you're like, kind of like, I don't, we're doing really good, Dr. Rose. Like we're making it, we're doing good every month. You're doing good every month because you're avoiding the issues that you actually have. Anybody can do that. And I'm not going to commend you for that. I'm not going to say, good job, you're not having a fight. A lot of times you're not having a fight because both of you have gotten to the point of avoiding the real issue that you're having. So I don't want you to always think that arguments or fights are a bad thing if it's uncovering the root issues that you have. So your goal should not be, let's get to a point where we're not fighting, where we're not arguing. Your goal should be, are we at peace? If there's any point in your PMDD relationship where you're holding on to actual issues that you have, then you're in a point where you're going to begin to think that your PMDD partner is the issue, because now you're with a partner where you're feeling like you can't be open and you can't be vulnerable. That is not an intimate relationship. That is a very surface level relationship. And so when you're in an intimate relationship, there should be nothing that you can't say to your PMDD partner. Yes, it may trigger them. Yes, it may make them feel uncomfortable, but you're in that place of willing to work through it. If you're in that place of walking on eggshells and you're feeling like, I'm just going to say everything that's going to make us continue to be in that place, you're going to be in a very surface level relationship. And if you really think about it, you're not going to feel connected. They don't even feel connected. They feel comfortable. And there's a very big difference between being comfortable and being connected. People don't get into relationships over a long period of time to be comfortable. They get into those relationships and they feel fulfilled because they're connected. And that is a real issue that a lot of PMDD partners have, because PMDD rips the cover off of a lot of issues that you have. And it's almost like you're at that fork in the road. It's like, do I want to deal with this and be uncomfortable? Or do I want to deal with this and be connected? Or do I want to just be comfortable? And so for individuals that are willing to be surface level, you are never going to be fulfilled in your PMDD relationship if you're settling with comfortability. There is a way that you can be connected, which is far more beneficial, especially when your partner or you go into PMDD. You need to be connected in the sense that they're understanding what you're going through, that you're not sitting there lost in the thoughts. How many private sessions have I had where the partner's like, I'm really connected with my PMDD partner, and as soon as they go into PMDD, I don't know who they are. I don't know what's going on, because you were never connected before. You were very surface level. Your job is to study your PMDD partner. At all times, you should be saying, okay, what can I do when they go into PMDD? Or what can I do if I'm the one that has PMDD to make it more bearable for them, to where we're actually connecting deeper on a deeper level versus going further apart? Because there's two directions that you and your PMDD partner can go in when you experience PMDD symptoms. They can go further apart or they can go closer together. And I will tell you, a lot of times the tools that I've given you in private sessions and on the Breakup Proof Academy is if you're suffering in PMDD, I don't want you to pretend that you're not suffering. I don't want you to be in that place where like, I'm totally fine, everything's great, and you're really internally sliding down a wall in agony. You're not asking for the help that you know that you need. You're in that place of saying, I know that my symptoms trigger my PMDD partner, so I'm just not going to say anything about it. So I'm going to pretend like I'm fine. Like I'm just going to be like, oh, everything's great, because I know if I show any level of suffering or a shift in my mood or a shift in my personality, all of a sudden it's going to be a problem in our relationship. So what you're doing is you're putting undue stress on yourself. And here's the thing: if you have a work environment, if you have children, chances are you're doing this in those environments. So if you think about this, you're waking up in the morning and say you're getting your children ready for school or you're getting them ready for the day. You're having to say, if you don't want them to know that you're in PMDD, if you don't want to disclose the suffering that you have going on, you're hiding it. You're hiding it from your children. And then you go to work and you're hiding it from the people at work. And then you come home to a partner that you should be able to be open and vulnerable with, and you're hiding it from them. When do you have time within the day before you go to sleep and you go into another Groundhog Day of actually being open with anyone? What is the purpose of being in a relationship if you have no one else to be open and vulnerable with? When do you have that time? Why do you feel like you need to put up a facade 24/7? The only time that you can really be open and honest with yourself is when you're asleep. And this is why a lot of my private clients are saying that they're having nightmares, because your subconscious mind is like, hello, you're suffering. And this is the only time that we're actually able to be open and honest about it. So now you're not even getting good sleep. You're having insomnia, or maybe you're having hypersomnia where you're sleeping for extensive amounts of time. And you're blaming all of this because there's a level when you start doing this because you think that you're doing the right thing. So this is why I'm bringing it to your remembrance. And I'm telling you, I'm bringing it to you because I know a lot of times you think that you're doing the right thing. You're like, I thought I was doing the right thing, Dr. Rose, by not mentioning what I was going through. And I'm here to tell you it's not. But I know that it's coming from a good place. So I'm not going to chastise you on it, but I'm going to let you know you need to stop. And the reason why I'm saying that, because there's no intimacy. You're worried. So for these individuals that are listening to this and they're like, yeah, that's me. And you're circling back and you're wondering why you're having an issue with intimacy. You're having conversations, you're having sessions with me, and you're like, we can't connect physically. We're not intimate. We don't kiss, we don't hug, we don't hold hands, because you're not intimate. Because you've not literally disclosed what's going on with you. And you can be surface level, but you're going to be surface level and you're going to pay for it with an amount. Something's going to suffer. You're not going to feel close with quality time. You're not going to feel close with intimacy because you're not being open and honest. So yes, if it would feel better for you to not address any issues that you have, understand that you can do that. But in some area of your PMDD relationship, you're going to suffer. So if it feels better to you to not be intimate, to not be close, to not hold hands, to not feel loved, to not feel cared for, but you're not having to go into those uncomfortable conversations, then fine. But I want you to think about the long run. Is this the type of relationship that you signed up for? Is this what you're willing to commit for? Because every single day that you're living in this knowledge of this is how our relationship runs, you're creating a pattern. You're creating a system of this is how we operate within our relationship. We don't talk about our problems. We're very surface level. And guess what? Now we're not even intimate. And if you are intimate, you're not even fulfilled because guess what? Your partner's not present. Your partner's not present because they're thinking of the issues that they're actually having within the PMDD relationship. So if you do get to that point of you're having sex, you're being intimate, you're not feeling like they're genuinely close with you. Because they're not, because there's things that they're probably thinking about in the back of their mind. There's a wall that's being built there, and you're not in a position to be open about it. And so you're doing a trade-off where I always tell my private clients, just rip the Band-Aid off. Deal with the issue that you have in your PMDD relationship. Deal with the intimacy, deal with the finances, deal with the co-parenting, deal with anything that you have, deal with the household chores, deal with the root issue that you have. And then when you get into those moments and you're wanting to feel connected, it's going to come really natural to you. If you're in that space where you're having to beg your PMDD partner for intimacy, it's because it's not there because you're not being intimate in the other issues in the other areas of your life. So you're forcing them to do something that's not going to come natural, and you're never going to be fulfilled in that. I guarantee you, if you're really open with the issues that you have that come up when you're in PMDD, because like I said before, PMDD rips the covers off of you and says, no, we're not going to allow you to continue to hide these issues that you have. And so instead of addressing them and being like, okay, you're right. I need to deal with this. I really do have a problem with my PMDD partner in this area. I really am in that place where I'm going to bring it up. Until you get to that place, you're going to be surface level and you're going to get surface level energy and you're not going to be fulfilled. This is where either one or two things are going to happen. You're going to have the PMDD monthly, no, one or three things. One or three things are going to happen. And this is based off of prior research, prior knowledge. I'm not making this up. One of the three things are going to happen. You're going to have the PMDD monthly breakups where one person is going to be like, you know what? I'm not doing this. Like, this is because you're not feeling fulfilled. And you're like, there's nothing I can do. Like, let's just end this. Like, it's not meant to be. Let's just call it quits. Number two, there's going to be infidelity. It's going to be like, you know what? I'm not feeling fulfilled here. I'm going to go feel fulfilled somewhere else because I'm squeezing the tube of toothpaste. I feel like I'm forcing it, right? And this is what happens where it's like one partner's trying to talk about the issues and one partner's like, I don't have any issue with you. So now you're in that place where you're like, this person doesn't understand me. I'm going to go find someone else. And guess what? When it comes to this, there's always someone else that's waiting there with open arms. It's like, oh, you're having issues? Like, oh, I'm here. I'll talk to you about the issues that you're having. You're leaving the door open by not choosing to address the issues that you're having with your PMDD partner. You're leaving the door open for them to vent to someone else. So I want you to be very careful when you're in that place. And number three is you're going to stay in the relationship. You're going to suffer, right? You're going to be faithful, but you're going to suffer with bitterness and resentment, and you're going to hate it. And you're going to be really surface level. And then it's going to become an atmosphere where you're both surface level and neither one of you are enjoying the relationship, but neither one of you are in a place where you're willing to let go of it. And I've seen a lot of that in private sessions where it's like, we're never going to leave each other. We're going to be together forever, but you're miserable. You don't get an award for that. Like, you know how you hear back in the day, we used to hear my parents were together for 40 years and 50 years, but were they happy or were they suffering for 40 years and 50 years? Like when you get into that point of really understanding the substance of it, I don't commend people that are together for 40 or 50 years if they're suffering the whole time. That's not relationship goals. There used to be a lot of time where you only saw pictures of people and it's like, we've been together for 10 years, we've been together for 20 years, but are you happy or are you suffering? Because you might as well just show a picture of both of you crying, right? And being like, we've been together for 10 years because that's what's really been going on behind closed doors. So I don't believe in posting pictures and creating a facade and trying to be really motivational, but you're trying to be really motivational on social media and you're not even talking to each other behind closed doors. And I've seen this with private clients that I've had where we're social media friends and all you're showing is amazing pictures of like, we love each other so much. And you get in the house and you're not speaking. And you're getting in the bed and you're not touching. And you're going about your day and you're not communicating. And to that, I say, what is the point? You're creating a facade for other people that is not true to you. I want you to have a level of integrity with yourself. Like, I want to be proud. I want you to be proud of the PMDD relationship that you have. You can really inspire people when you're honest. Be in a place where you're being honest. And that's why I share all of my struggles with you, the ups, the downs, the indifference, because I'm not creating a scenario where it's like, everything's great, everything's totally fine. It's unrealistic because you're never going to be in a relationship where you're not addressing issues and you're not what I call sitting in the dirty diaper and sitting in some negative emotions sometimes. But guess what? The couples that go through those moments of actually addressing the issues that they have and going through those negative emotions and coming out on the other side and repairing it, they're a lot closer than the couples that are really surface level and they're like, everything's fine, smile for the camera. The issues that you have with your PMDD partner are going to follow you wherever you go. If you're going into work, if you're going into co-parenting, if you're going with friends, they're not going anywhere. They're just lying dormant. There's a lot of diseases. And I know because I have the diagnostic of statistical medicine where there's so many diseases that can live in the body and they just lie dormant. And I feel like that's what PMDD does with relationship issues. When you decide to be in your good days and you're feeling good and you want to just pretend like there's nothing wrong with you, guess what? All of your diseases, the issues that you have with your finances, with your intimacy, with your co-parenting, with your attachment styles, with your feeling connected, with your communication, they're not going anywhere. You still have the disease. It's lying dormant. And then when you go into PMDD, this is why you feel like your PMDD partner is the enemy, because now you're in PMDD and you're having what I call is a flare up. So if you look at the medical terminology of a lot of diseases that you can have, when you go through a flare up, it's because there's stress involved. And guess what? PMDD causes stress. So this is why when your cortisol levels are impacted, their rise, then any issue that you have with your PMDD partner is exposed. So for all of you that are asking me that question, why does it seem like every single time I go into PMDD, I have an issue with my partner? Because your cortisol levels are impacted by being in PMDD, and all of the issues that you have with your partner are exposed. And guess what? Your partner is not the enemy. PMDD is, because it's ripping the covers off of everything that you and your PMDD partner are trying to cover up. You cannot escape any issues that you have with your relationship if you have PMDD. So it's a gift and a curse. I actually got to a point where I'm like, you know what? They're really onto something here. Because how many couples have gone years and years and years without addressing issues? And guess what? If couples who don't have any PMDD in it, they can go years and years and years. But guess what? PMDD is like, we're not doing that. Every single month, it's like a check-in, like, hello, remember you have an issue with this. It's causing you to feel stressed out. And then all of a sudden you're going to your PMDD partner and your partner is like, what's going on with you? Like yesterday, you didn't have an issue with me. Now all of a sudden you have an issue with me. Your partner had an issue with you the whole time. They're just not able to keep it covered up. And so it's not coming out of nowhere. If you're thinking about it, the things that they're talking to you about are actual issues that you have. It's not. So I know a lot of private clients are like, I feel like they're making up issues. They're not making up issues, because guess what? They're having full on scenarios of things that have happened in your relationship that they're actually addressing. They just got to a point where they were just like, I can, I'm triggered, but I'm okay. I'm triggered. And that's how our partners are who don't have PMDD. They can endure that. PMDD does not allow you to endure that. And that's why I say it's a gift and a curse, because it's a curse because it's uncomfortable, but it's a gift because it allows you to get to the root of the issues and feel compelled to. Because I have private clients, they're not sleeping at night because of the issues that are coming up. They're not going to work and being able to focus because of the issues that are coming up. And to that, I say, thank goodness that and that's a lot of the reasons why they found me, because they got so frustrated, so overwhelmed. They're like, you know what? I can't do this. I need to get help. And guess what? They're now getting the help. And they're now addressing the issues that are in their relationship. And they're now feeling more connected because you're not hiding from your PMDD partner anymore. You're not hiding from the issues. So guess what? Your partner's not the issue. PMDD is, but PMDD is the thing that's going to help you get to the root of your issues. And that's what you should be doing in an intimate relationship. There's a reason why it's called an intimate relationship. Into me, meaning you are inside of what is going on with me. At any given moment, you should know what is going on inside of your PMDD partner. If you're in that place of like, I really don't know what's going on with them, I hope they're good, then you're not in an intimate relationship. You're in a surface level relationship because you have just the same amount of knowledge as a coworker does. A coworker who like, oh, they're a cool person, I hope they're good. That's the same amount of, connection that you have with your PMDD partner, because you're not intimate with them. You don't know what they're struggling with. If you're ever in that moment where it's gone a week and you don't know what your PMDD partner is struggling with, you're not in an intimate relationship, because every single week your partner is struggling with something, and you as the PMDD partner should know what that is. And if you're not in that place, you need to study your PMDD partner, because things change on a day-to-day basis, because life changes. There's things that are going on. You shouldn't be in a place where other people in the public who are not in an intimate relationship know more about your partner than you do. And PMDD is that way of like saying, hey, her mood is shifting. Something's going on with her. And then when your mood shifts, it triggers something in your PMDD partners to be like, are you good? And this may be the first time that your PMDD partner is asking you that. But guess what? Had you not had PMDD, maybe you would have been able to be in that place of pretending like you're good. And then guess what? They would have never known, because the answer is no, I'm not good. I actually have all of this stuff going on. And PMDD is in that place of causing you to have that hard conversation of saying what that is, and allowing your PMDD partners to be in that place where they're supporting you. Take off the mask, take off the facade. It is a short-lived, pleasurable experience. right? It's like having sex with a hooker. Yes, you have sex with a hooker. You feel good in the moment. You ejaculate, all of these things, but there's no connection there. There's no connection. In the moment, you're like, I feel amazing. So that's what it feels like when you're avoiding the issues that you have with your PMDD partner. I feel amazing all day long, and I can go to sleep and pretend like everything's great. But you're not feeling connected because guess what? You don't really know what's going on. And you probably have things that you don't like, or you would like differently, or you want to express, or all these things. Get to a place where you're having a real intimate relationship with your PMDD partner, so that when you're dealing with symptoms and mood swings and negative thought patterns and intrusive thoughts and all of these worst case scenarios that are spiraling around in your mind, you actually have someone that you can talk to about it that understands you. Because as you're in that PMDD relationship, you're growing. But what happens is a lot of times with PMDD partners, like, we just grew apart. You grew apart because you were growing without actually being intimate with each other. And then you wake up one day, a year later, a year and a half later, and you don't even know who you're with, because all you're dealing with is surface level. You're saying, I can only be this way because this is the only way that they're comfortable with. If I'm too open, if I'm too expressive, it triggers them. Then trigger them and let it get to the bottom of the situation and get it over with. Right. So a lot of times, earlier when I was a little kid and I used to have scrapes and stuff on my arm, and I used to be like, Mommy, I want to put the Band-Aid on it. And she would say, baby, don't put the Band-Aid on it. I need you to let the air get to it so it can breathe and heal. A lot of you are needing to stop trying to hurry up and put a Band-Aid on the issues that you're having with your PMDD partner. You would love to put the Band-Aid on it because it covers it up. No one can see it. No one can feel it. No one can address it. When really what that wound needs to do, it needs to heal. And a lot of that healing comes from letting it breathe, getting into those moments where you're just being open and honest. I feel this, and let it breathe. And over time, by letting that wound breathe, it heals and it grows. And you know how it grows? With another layer of skin that grows over this. So if you think about a scratch that you may have, if you're talking about the physical aspect of it, you scrape yourself, right? You nick yourself. A whole nother layer of skin needs to grow in order for it to heal. But a lot of you don't even want to be to that place where you're seeing that extra layer grow. You don't want to look at that ugly scar. You would rather put a Band-Aid on it. But guess what? It's there. Let it breathe, let it heal. And then guess what? When a scar heals, when you let it breathe, you look down at it one day and it's no longer there anymore. But if you're in that place where you're covering it up immediately with the Band-Aid, then guess what? One day you're going to take the Band-Aid off and you're going to be left with a scar. You're going to be left with a scab because you never let the fresh air come to it where it can actually breathe. And I want you to get to that place where you're saying, I'm going through this in my PMDD relationship and I'm letting it breathe. I'm not getting to a place where I'm ready to immediately cover up every single issue that I'm having. I'm in that place where I'm saying, this is ugly, this is real, this is raw. It may, look ugly, or you may see the bloody mess of it, but you're letting it breathe in a place where you're letting it heal. You're letting time go on, where you're saying, we're in a really uncomfortable, place right now, but I'm in that place where I'm going to let it breathe. So that when it covers up, it's a new layer of skin, a new layer of fresh skin. So when you look down at it, it's a new healed layer in your PMDD relationship where you're like, wow, we don't have an issue with finances anymore. Wow, we don't have an issue with intimacy anymore. Wow, we don't have an issue with co-parenting anymore, because you got to a point where you let it scab up and you let it heal and breathe in a way that's really going to have you address the root issue of your PMDD relationship. So I want you to understand, PMDD is the enemy, not your partner. So when you're going against and you're like, you need to do this differently, you need to do this, your partner needs to be in the same place that you need to be in, where you're willing to address the issues. And again, this is why I created the Stress Free with PMDD Partners package, where you can go in on a weekly basis. And we're talking about what is stressing you out in the relationship this week. That's one of the first questions that I ask with my private clients. I don't want to hear about the highs. I don't want to hear, because if you had only highs, I wouldn't need to help you. I want to hear what is stressing you out. I want you to open up with me the way you feel like you can't open up with your partner, and let us be on that session. And you have that safe place of saying, I'm really struggling because my partner's not sleeping with me this week. And I know I've been acting like everything's great, but I'm feeling neglected. I'm feeling abandoned. I'm feeling unattractive. I'm feeling like they don't love me. They don't care about me. Or I'm having an issue with finances this week. I'm feeling like it's not fair. I'm feeling like I'm carrying most of the burden and I don't like it. I'm feeling like I need some help, but I don't know how to ask for it because I'm in that place where maybe I agreed to take on this financial burden and now I'm in a place where it's overwhelming. Or I'm in that place where we're co-parenting and we're not seeing eye to eye. And I don't like the way my partner is talking to our child. I don't like the way they're addressing them and it's causing me to have internal stress. Or I'm in that place where I'm going to work and I'm stressed out. And when I come home and try to talk to my partner about it, I don't feel like I can talk to them because they're not creating a safe place for me. Like whatever it is that's stressing you out about your PMDD relationship, my partner's giving me too much attention. My partner's not giving me enough attention. Our attachment styles are off. I'm not feeling like I'm getting what I need. I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm not getting enough sex. I'm not getting enough connection. I'm not feeling loved. I'm not feeling heard. I'm not feeling validated. You need to get into a place where you're addressing this on a weekly basis. It doesn't go anywhere. And you're in PMDD or your partner's in PMDD for 2 weeks out of the month. So it's a continuous regurgitation of the issues that you're having. We're having this issue. We're having this issue. It's not going anywhere. If they're pretending like it is, it's not. It's going on within them, and it's really going on between the both of you. But sometimes you would rather be in this la la land, in this land of Peter Pan, and I don't let that happen. I am your accountability partner with your relationship, where I'm not going to let you tell me that everything's great if everything's not great, because that's not going to help you. It's not going to get you to that place where you're like, wow, my PMD partner really understands what I'm going through. I feel so relieved. I have so many private clients that have started the session. Everything's great. Middle of the session, they're crying, they're releasing. And end of the session, they're hugging, they're kissing, they're intimate. They're texting me, messaging me days after. This is the first time we've been intimate in months, because it's the first time you've been intimate in months. Like they're not understanding the physicality that's connected to that. I don't care if you've been having sex every single week, every single month, every single day. If you're in a situation where you're not being intimate with your PMDD partner, somebody's not being fulfilled in that physicality. Somebody's not having an orgasm and really feeling connected. They're going through the physical motions of it. They're like, oh, we need to do this, but you're not really feeling connected. So what's the point? Again, they're not a hooker, they're your partner. And I'm telling you that because I really want you to understand the value in having an intimate partner. Yes, it's uncomfortable sometimes, but there's so much more value in being with someone where you can actually be real and raw with. And a lot of you are willing to take off your clothes, but you're not willing to take off the mask that you have with your PMDD partner. You're willing to completely be naked with them physically, but you're not willing to be naked with them emotionally. And you're wondering why you're not fulfilled. And you're thinking it's quantity. We need to do this more. We need to do this more. No, you need to do it right. You're thinking that you need to have more sex when you really need to make love. And the only way to make love with your PMDD partner is to go through those hard moments and to have those conversations where you're really connected. And I require that of you. I was about to say I want that of you, but I require that of you. If you're listening to me, if you're my private client, we're not going surface level, because that's not going to help you. Anybody can coddle you and be like, it's okay. You don't have to talk about that. That's really uncomfortable for you. I would hate for you to have an uncomfortable conversation. That's not me. Because if that was me, I wouldn't have a business, because I would be in a business of making everyone feel comfortable. I'm in a business of transformation with you and your PMDD partner. And I know that it's something that you can do, but I also know that it's something that's outside of your comfort zone, especially if you've been doing this for years. Especially if you've gotten into the habit, where I'm a very habit-based individual, and I told you that before. So I'm very cautious of what I allow to be a habit, because I can get into autopilot and then all of a sudden I'm doing it on day in, day out, which is why I cut it off. As soon as I feel like it's not serving me, I'm not continuing to do it, because I know it's so easy to get into those patterns of, oh, this feels better to just not talk about it. No. No, 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 because it's not going to help you. And you're going to end up suffering. And not only that, your partner's going to end up suffering. So it's selfish for you to do it for you, and it's selfish for you to do it for your PMDD partner. So what I want you to get from this entire episode, and from getting into the Breakup Proof Academy, which is when we check in with our each other every single week, is the stress that you're dealing with within your PMDD relationship. A lot of it is from you covering up the issues that you have. I want you to take accountability for the issues that you have, and not to be shamed for them. right? No one gets an award for saying everything's great in our PMDD relationship and you're lying, because you have to live with you. You have to live with your partner. I don't care what you post on social media. I could care less. I don't care what you tell to your friends. I don't care what you tell to your family members. I care with how you're actually feeling within yourself. I care with how you look at yourself in the mirror and you look at your PMDD partner. Are you looking at them with love, or are you looking at them with resentment? Because you know that you have legitimate issues with them that you're just not addressing. I want you to be honest with yourself. Take this episode as a wake-up call and just say this mantra: I am not going to hide the issues that I have with my PMDD partner. I am not going to hide the issues that I have with my PMDD partner. I am going to recognize that PMDD is the issue, not my partner. PMDD is the enemy, not my partner. The issues that I have with my PMDD partner can be addressed. It's not going to feel comfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. Do you know that I can sit here and literally tell you a lie and say everything's going to feel completely amazing as soon as you have that conversation with your PMDD partner? I will be lying to you. You probably stop listening to me. You'd be like, Dr. Rose, you're lying. Like, that didn't work for me. One or two things would happen. You would either stop listening to me because you would feel like I'm lying to you, or you would feel like there's something wrong with you. Like, wow, it feels great for everybody else. It feels horrible for me. It might feel horrible for you in the beginning, but if you're getting to the root of it, it's worth it, because you're planting a different seed. So when we're going through the sessions, we're plucking up the seed that's not working. We're plucking up the root of the issue that you're having. Say if the issue is with intimacy, we're plucking up the root of what's not working, and we're planting a seed so that something new can grow. Something new is going to grow within your relationship that's not going to grow with brown leaves on it that you're going to have to continuously pluck up. So I want you to get to that place of saying, I want to do something differently within my PMDD relationship, that I'm not going to be, in that same cycle again and again and again. So until next time, get in the Breaker Proof Academy, get in those private sessions, and really get to the root of the issues that you're having with PMDD and the root of the issues that you're having with your partner. We got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is, if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things, so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship, so you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.